Hey, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Hey, Houston, we don't have a problem. Today we want to talk about forces. So this is a new concept, a force. So let's take a moment and talk about, you've probably heard about forces and all this kind of stuff. Let's define what a force is. A force is a push or a pull on an object. Okay, now what could be a force? The force could be up. It can be up or down, forward or backwards. So you'll notice that force has a direction. Does that make sense? So one other aspect of forces is that they're a vector. Because remember, vectors have two things, right? They have magnitude and they have direction. So the direction is up, down, forward, backwards, and the push or the pull. Magnitude is an amount of force, okay? And another important thing about a force is all forces, what we call an unbalanced force, forces cause acceleration, not velocity, acceleration. So if I apply a force to an object, then it will accelerate. One other aspect of forces is, let's talk about the unit of force. The unit of force is a capital N, a Newton. All right, Sir Isaac Newton, in fact, they call them Newton's laws. This is what we're getting to, is Newton's laws. So we named the unit after the dude. So the unit is called a Newton. So you could have a 50, capital N, Newton force. So we measure forces in newtons. And lastly, let's talk about, there's two kinds of forces, okay? So the two kinds of forces, there are what we call contact forces and forces at a distance. So a contact force is if I have an object, right, some block of wood, and I push on that block of wood, I'm pushing on it, maybe it's on the ground, and I push on a box, let's say, and I push on that box, it's in contact. So my hands are in contact with the block of wood, and I am pushing it. But there are other forces at a distance, that don't require contact. So if you ever played with magnets, right, if I have, a magnet, and I have another magnet, they could either attract or repel. Let's say that this is positive and negative, and this is positive and negative, and they're gonna, if you try to push them back and forth, they're gonna repel each other. So that's a force at a distance. Or it could be attractive force too, because if I flip these around, then they're gonna zip together. So there's a force at a distance. Another classic one, force at a distance, is gravity. Gravity is a force at a distance. There's no contact, but gravity happens all the time. It's happening to me right now here on the Earth, and so the gravity is attracting me to the Earth. Which is a force. If there was no Earth, I wouldn't have any weight. Anyways, forces, that's just a basic, quick primer on what forces are. In the next video, we're going to learn more about how that works and a little bit of mathematics. Houston, we don't have a problem.